Hello everyone, welcome back. And today in this video, I wanted to go through 7 things that we learned from Barcelona's dominant win against Newcastle in the Champions League. I feel like there was so much still that I wanted to talk about, so many positives to take away from the game, so I just want to get into those 7 things. And the first thing that we learned is that Joan Garcia has completely changed this team. And especially if you want to go far in the Champions League, you need a huge shot stopper that can come up massively when you need him. And that's exactly what Joan Garcia has done for the first couple of games for Barcelona. But what we saw in the last game in the Champions League against Newcastle, that one-on-one save with Harvey Barnes, I think there was another offsides one that he saved. But to make 1v1 saves that dominantly and that consistently and looking so confident doing it, that's exactly what Barcelona had been missing for so long. And I don't want to slander Ter Stegen. You know, there's really no point in being negative towards him. But we all knew that it was time for Barcelona to sign someone else in that position if they wanted to go far in the Champions League, if they wanted to go for all the trophies possible. And that's exactly what Joan Garcia, his intention is by joining this club, because he was confident in his abilities. And Deco and Hansi Flick, they knew they wanted him to come be the first choice starting goalkeeper for Barcelona. And these moments, these matches, that's the exact reason why, because he has changed this Barcelona team. Without him, they would not have won as many games as they have this season. I don't think they would have won yesterday against Newcastle. There were too many chances that would have went in against another goalkeeper. So Joan Garcia, yet again, deserves so much praise. What a signing. And the second thing that we learned, which we kind of already knew before this Newcastle game, was that Pedri and Frenkie de Jong are the best midfield duo in the world. They are absolutely incredible. They complement each other so well. And in my video yesterday, I was talking about Pedri and how he got so much praise from English media on that performance. That wasn't even one of his best games that we've seen in the last year. He's been absolutely incredible at so many different times this season. And so Pedri and Frenkie de Jong are so important in the way that Barcelona want to play, because they can't dominate as well if one of them, or specifically if both of them, are off the pitch, because they just play exactly how you want Barcelona to play. They play fast. It's not like they're just passing for passing's sake. They're passing to tire you out, to dominate possession, and then to wait for their opportunity to take their chance and to make that pass, to take the ball forward. They are just so smart. And I know a lot of people were talking about the physicality of the Premier League and that Barcelona, just their midfield might get destroyed in this game. Could not have been more wrong. Pedri and Frenkie de Jong going up against anyone, I trust them, because they're two of the best midfielders in the world. I'm very high on praising Pedri, but sometimes I maybe do forget a little bit about Frenkie de Jong. But in that game, he reminded us how important they are, because especially when Barcelona were kind of wasting time at the end of the game, because they were 2-1 up, to hold the ball like that, to not give Newcastle a single chance after that game, it takes a lot. It takes a lot of belief in your own abilities on the ball, and they were just incredible. Like, what a joy to watch. I mean, I remember there was a Pedri, Frenkie de Jong, and Gavi trio. I think it was against Atletico Madrid last season, and they were so good. Like, that was one of their best games in terms of Barcelona's midfield, but this one is up there as well. I think it was so dominant, specifically, again, in the Champions League against a big opponent in the Premier League. Just so happy that we got to witness this. And again, all Barcelona fans that have watched so many games this season know how good those two midfielders are. But for people that don't watch them as consistently, to have it on a big display in the Champions League, it's just great, because they're getting the praise and the recognition that they deserve, because they're such incredible players and by far the best midfield duo in the world. And the third thing that we learned is that we were right to trust Marcus Rashford and to believe in him and to be excited by this signing, because a moment like that in that game, that second goal, just the smile on his face, you could tell how much it meant to him. And I'm just so happy that we've already seen a moment of brilliance from him. And of course, the season is long. It's not just that moment, but that's exactly what you expect from a player like Marcus Rashford. And that's the ceiling that he can reach if he has a coach that trusts in him, if he has a fan base that's behind him, and if he's enjoying the football that he's playing. And I think all of those things, if they line up at Barcelona, I mean, think about Barcelona having an option to buy him for $35 million. From what we saw yesterday, that seems like a steal. And I made another video on TikTok about this, but Marcus Rashford and Joan Garcia, Barcelona could get both of those players. I mean, they already have Joan Garcia, but Marcus Rashford on a permanent for around $50 million from both of those players. That's incredible in this market. To have two positions that you needed to reinforce this summer, and you got both of them. And again, Marcus Rashford is just on a loan. There's no, real reason to not sign him. But Hansi Flick, he said after the game, I told Deco I wanted Marcus Rashford to come to the club. Please sign him. And that's exactly what Deco did. And there you see him. That's exactly what Marcus Rashford brings to Barcelona. And we had said it before. There was nothing against Rafinha. Some Barca fans were saying, like, why are you signing another left winger? But this is why. Like, you needed someone else in that position, because imagine Lamine Yamal gets hurt. Then it's Rafinha on the right-hand side. Who would have been on the left? Maybe Ferran Torres. He doesn't offer the same thing that Marcus Rashford does. And you just needed a player in that position that could kind of drive at players, that could go at defenders 1v1, could make things happen. That's exactly what Marcus Rashford did today. So, again, the thing that we learned in this game is that there is more to come from Marcus Rashford, and we were right to believe in him and to be excited by his signing. And the fourth thing that we learned is that you can play like that. You can play beautiful football without looking exposed at the back, because I think there were a couple of chances that Newcastle had, and I can't really expect to go up against a good opposition in the Champions League and not concede a few opportunities to the other team. So I'm okay with that. But they did not look exposed in the back. I think we've seen some games like against Rayo Vallecano, they looked completely exposed for 90 minutes. Like, they could do nothing to really prevent the other team from getting in behind and getting so many opportunities. And Joran Garcia was the only reason that Barcelona went on to even get a draw in that game. But in this game, again, he kept them in this match, but they did not look that exposed in the back. I think really the Anthony Gordon one, and they also had a couple chances in the first half. Anthony Alenga on the right-hand side, going up against Gerard Martin. He got the better of him a handful of times. Honestly, those were most of the opportunities that Newcastle had, but I don't think they looked that exposed on the counter. And I think Newcastle I don't even think that they were playing bad. I think they actually looked pretty good. But Barcelona were just so dominant, and they really looked like one of the best teams in the world yesterday. I'm so excited with how they played. But really, the point that I'm trying to make there is that you can play very enjoyable football, but not look super exposed. Because I think sometimes when Barcelona went too far forward last season, they just looked like they were easily going to get caught on the counter. And I think those things happen. You concede a couple chances. But in this game, they looked completely dominant. I had no doubt that they were going to go on to win this game, because not only did they look like the better team, but they also looked pretty compact in the back. I think Ronald Araujo had a very good performance. I'll get into that later. That's one of my points. But yeah, I think they played very well without looking that exposed yesterday. And the fifth thing that I wanted to say is that Ronald Araujo still has it. I've seen a lot of Barcelona fans maybe just get very upset with him. And again, those Champions League mistakes that he's made, some Barca fans have completely lost faith in him. But he had a very good match today. And I don't want to kind of discredit or forget about that, because I think Koundé was also very good. But Araujo, he made a lot of big blocks, and especially coming up in the lineup with someone like Cubarsí, you need Araujo to kind of come up massive with these big blocks and be like a big presence in the box, because Cubarsí, just with a lack of experience and kind of size, he just doesn't have that big of a presence in the box. So Ronald Araujo, he had to do that yesterday, and he made a ton of blocks. He was making so many clearances, and all of that stuff is very important for Barcelona, because I felt like he did very good. He kind of went a little bit under the radar, and even when I was making my video yesterday, I was giving him like a 7 out of 10. I thought he did well, but then you kind of see the response from people, and you think, yeah, Araujo honestly did have a very good game, because in a match like that, you just not only do you not want to make a mistake, but you also have to be very perfect with all of your clearances, just not making mistakes in the box. I think he did very well yesterday, so I still think he's such an important profile for Barcelona. I think he was a little bit sloppy sometimes on the ball, but better safe than sorry, right? I'd rather see him kick it out, kick it long and lose possession than kind of just do too much with it in the back. And I think someone like Cubarsí is just better on the ball. So if Araujo is not really comfortable in that moment, yeah, do kick it out. Sometimes it's like, okay, you maybe could have relaxed a little bit, but he's kind of more of a defensive defender, if that makes sense. So yeah, Araujo, I think he still has it. And I'm really happy to see him have a good performance, because I think that was his first start this season. I could be wrong about that, but we haven't seen him play that much in the center back position. So I'm glad that he did very well yesterday. And the sixth thing that I think we learned was that Barcelona's respect in the Champions League is back. I'm not going to say that everyone thinks that Barcelona is now the favorite to win the Champions League, but the way that Newcastle players, I mean, you saw that Anthony Gordon quote, and he talks about, I've never seen this level of dominance from even teams like Man City and Chelsea. I've never seen that type of dominance in the midfield. Like, we couldn't get the ball. We couldn't do anything against them. And that's such high praise from a player that just worked so hard for such a long period of time and kind of came up with nothing. So, I was so happy to see that quote. First off, it was a very nice thing for him to say, but I just feel like the energy around Barcelona and kind of how other teams and other fan bases look at Barcelona when they're playing, you feel like that energy is back. You just feel like that dominance and that respect is there in the Champions League, because we saw it in a lot of European competitions. Teams came up against Barcelona and they were confident. They knew that Barcelona mentally were not there, and they just felt like they were going to lose it. And other teams capitalized. They took advantage of that. So to see Newcastle praising them And obviously they tried as hard as they can, but it just didn't look like they were close. That's all great signs. So I'm just really happy to hear all of that. And shout out again to Gordon, because that was a really nice thing to say. So a lot of respect. And from all the Newcastle fans that I've seen, they have just put so much respect towards Barcelona and their performance. They said there's nothing wrong with losing to, one of the best teams in the world. Such a dominant performance from players like Pedri and Frenkie de Jong. So I'm just glad to see Barcelona receiving as much praise as they have. And I think it's completely deserved from that performance. And the seventh thing that I think we learned is that Barcelona do miss Lamine Yamal. I don't want to be too negative at all and say that there's like a Lamine dependencia, that some people have said that Barca rely on Lamine. But I think they do miss that creativity when he's not on the pitch. And that's not surprising, because he's one of, if not the best players in the world currently. So you're obviously going to miss that player when he's not on the pitch. And I don't think there's really a suitable replacement for him, because Rafinha is definitely a different player. He can't really do the things that Lamine does, and Lamine can't really do the things that Rafinha does. Like they combine so well and they work off each other great. But when one of them is off the pitch, Barcelona are going to lose a little bit. And so it was just great to see Marcus Rashford kind of fill that gap in terms of creativity on the wing, because he kind of does it in a different way than Lamine, but he was still running at defenders, making things happen. And so obviously Lamine was a big miss in this game, and I think for parts of the first half, they kind of did struggle to create chances. And of course, someone like Lamine Yamal, one of the most creative players in the world, along with players like Pedri and Marcus Rashford, all of those players on the same pitch together, that would of course help Barcelona create a ton of chances. But yeah, overall, I'm still really happy with the way that the team performed without Lamine Yamal. But yeah, as always, thank you very much. I just wanted to make this video. There was still some excitement on that game, because I still felt like there was a lot to talk about and to take away from that performance. So I'm just really happy with the way that Barcelona played. And you got to take that match and you got to go with the momentum, right? Because you feel fully confident that you just came up against a great team in the Champions League and performed at that level. And not only just the win, but the statement behind it all, to be that dominant. It was just great to see. So yeah, those were the things that I think I took away from the Barcelona game. Please let me know if there was anything else that anyone else took away. But thank you as always for the likes and the comments. I really appreciate it. Just trying to get back into YouTube and making more videos, because I definitely missed it. But VISCA BARCA, I hope you all have a great rest of your day and a great weekend. And I will see you all later. Peace.